chaos. I feel like I'm chaos incarnate. Hi everyone, welcome back to Popsicle Frog Knits. My name is Brooke and this is my channel where I make videos about knitting and yarn and fun things like that. And I'm very excited because today I'm going to be going over my fall knitting plans. Yay! It is officially September, and while we have not hit like the equinox yet, so it's not technically fall, I have made the ultimate decision that it is fall. And some people might not feel like it's fall, and that's fine. But for me, it is fall, even though it is still, I think the high today is 107 outside in Houston. And I am wearing a wool and mohair sweater because I have decided if I'm going to die from the heat, I might as well die wearing a sweater. That's how it's going to go. I might as well wear something I love that I made that I'm obsessed with and that makes me happy if I'm going to die anyway. Plus I'm inside, so it's not terrible, but I'm warm. But I suffer for my art. Cool. So today, knitting plans. I made a 2023 knitting plans video at the beginning of the year, but this is going to be the first seasonal one I am doing, and I decided I was going to do it instead of a podcast episode in early September because I really didn't get that much knitting done last month, and I think the podcast would be like 15 minutes and I'm not sure that's worth it, so I'm going to save the things that I finished and am working on for next at the beginning of October, where I'll do a August and September podcast episode. So stay tuned for that in a couple weeks. And why don't we just get into this video? I'm so excited. I've been waiting. Fall is my favorite. I love fall. Fall and winter, the best. Love them so much. Very excited that it is this time of year again, even though I feel like it should not be fall already, in the sense that this year has flown by and I don't know where it's gone, and before we know it, the year's going to be over and it's going to be really weird. And yeah, it feels time has just flown by and it's weird and time is weird and I hate it. But it's fall, which is my favorite, so I'm not going to complain too much. So I have some concrete plans that I'm going to talk about, and then I have two that I'm hoping to make that I don't have yarn for. So the concrete plans are ones that I have yarn for and I am 100% doing. If I don't get them done before fall is over, they'll carry into winter. As of this moment, that is the plan. But they are things I think I can get done before the season of fall is over. Technically, I don't even know when fall technically ends. I guess winter technically starts on the solstice in December. So if I get these done before Christmas, I think I will have met my plans. I think that's how that goes, right? Who's to say? So, let's get tucked into the video. I got my coffee. Grab a beverage because hydration is important, especially if you're in a place that is as hot as the one that I am currently living in, which is basically the surface of the sun. And I know Houston is bad, but it gets so much worse in so many other places I can't even imagine. Like, if I go outside when it's over 100 degrees, my body stops functioning. Like, I start shaking and I get goosebumps because I just can't handle it. So I stay inside, wearing my sweaters and hoping for fall. Let's go to the first project. So the first project that I have planned, which you might say, that's really a summer project. And you're correct. It technically is, especially with the yarn I'm using and the pattern I am making. But I just told you it's 107 degrees outside, so it's still something I can wear in the fall. and I wanted to make it this summer and I just didn't have time, and I have the yarn, and so I think it's an easy project to kind of just throw on the needles, work on some whenever I have the chance, and that is going to be the mini mock neck tank by Jessie Made Designs. And I am going to be using a mono Chosky in this yarn in, what color is it? Thistle. So it's 1708 Thistle. It is this beautiful purple color. And this is a blend of superwash merino, 60%, 30% Pima cotton, and 10% linen. And I'm super excited to make this one. Everyone's made this tank and I have serious FOMO. And it's beautiful and I want one and I will wear it because that is like the perfect tank for me. It just fits my style so well. And I'm just excited to have that piece in my wardrobe, and I didn't want to wait till next summer to make it. So that's why it's here. And I think the color's kind of fall-ish, autumnal, if you will. I love that word. Because I prefer autumn over fall, but I say fall because that's what I grew up saying, and so sometimes I'll say autumn. I'm going to say autumn. So this is my autumn knitting plans. I don't know what that was, but I'm going to be making the mini mock neck tank, and I'm using that beautiful deep purple. I think would it be considered an eggplant? I think it is an eggplant purple. And it's just stunning. And if you've been on knitting Instagram, knitting YouTube, I feel like you've probably seen people talk about this pattern and just seen how beautiful it is. But I love mock neck tanks, and I'm just super excited to have a knitted one in my wardrobe that I made myself, because if my whole wardrobe could be made by me, that would be sick. I just don't like sewing very much. Well, I can't say that. I do like sewing. It just stresses me out and I'm not very good at it, so that means I don't like it. Even though I have a sewing machine and I really do want to learn how to use it. My mind's a confusing place sometimes. But I'm going to be using a mono Chosky, and I think it's just going to be beautiful. I made a swatch in a different color of the same yarn because I made a Look at My Holes by James and Watts for my mom with a mono Chosky in, I think the color is right, Rose Garden. It's a beautiful pinky red color. I think I showed the yarn in the last video, even though I forgot to include a photo. So maybe if I remember, I'll put a photo of that up in the next podcast episode. So I already made a swatch. I think my gauge was a little off, so I might need to re-swatch or just go back over the swatch and make sure I counted everything correctly, because sometimes I don't. Sometimes the little stitches all blend together and my eyes just go, eh. So, mini mock neck tank. That is the first thing on my list. And by first thing, I'm not going in order of what I'm going to be making. I'm going in order of like more summery to more wintry. So I'm going like short sleeves to long sleeves kind of vibe is what I'm going for. So let's move on to the next pattern. I have talked about this pattern because it is technically a whip right now. So I talked about it in my last podcast episode. And that is the Best Vest by James and Watts. And I am using Woolfolk Far in the color 36, which is a beautiful tomato soupy orange. It's gorgeous. And so I really want to make this vest, but I said it's technically a whip because it is, but when I originally swatched, my gauge was off. So I went up a needle size, got gauge, and was like, sick. And again, I've talked about this, so I'll have little timestamps if you want to just move on to the next plan. But for those of you who haven't seen it, you can hear my tale of woe about this vest. I went up a needle size. I then started changing how I do my knit stitches. I started actually knitting correct continental. So before I was doing a combination of holding the yarn in my left hand but still kind of throwing the yarn around the needle, and I started actually picking the yarn like you do in continental, and my gauge changed. And so now this vest is way too big, and I already had to buy an extra skein of yarn, which I mentioned in the last episode, but I wasn't sure if the dye lot was going to be the same because I was ordering from some random store in a different state, and to me the odds of them being the same dye lot was like a snowflake's chance in hell, but they are the same dye lot. So don't have to alternate skeins, don't have to do anything, but I already had to order more yarn, and I'm still, because it's so big, I'm still not sure I have enough yarn to finish. So what I need to do is frog it, wash the yarn, and then start over. So I just need to do that. I gotta get on that shit and get it done and restart this vest, because I really didn't work on it that much and I'm already over halfway through it. So I just need to do it, and it's going to be a beautiful piece. It's going to be this gorgeous oversized vest in this beautiful burnt orangey soupy color, and I'm so excited to have it. I'm going to be making a medium. I almost always make mediums in like every knitting pattern ever. And like always, my measurements will be at the very bottom of the description if you want to check that out, just so you have an idea of how things fit me, if that is helpful to you. Also, oh my god, I never talked about what I was wearing. I said I was wearing a sweater, but I wanted to talk about it because it's never been in my channel, and it is probably one of my favorite things that I have knit. And it is the Moonset pullover by Ozetta. And the thing about the Moonset pullover is it has this beautiful, let's see if I can do this, this beautiful neck detail, like you knit it along with the front and then one side crosses in front of the other and gives you this beautiful detail right here. And it is finished with I-cord on both the body and the sleeves, and I am obsessed with it. I knit it in Red Door Fiber Studios classic sock and mohair lace and Get Used to Disappointment, and it is just stunning. Sometimes the lighting's not great. I don't know how well you can see this color, but I am obsessed with both the garment and the color, and it's so soft and cozy, and I made it in the dead heat of summer. That was how much I wanted this in my life, and yeah, that's what I'm wearing. I knit a medium. The only mod I made was I added sleeve decreases, so the sleeve is a little bit more tapered, whereas the original sleeve was a straight sleeve. I just like a little taper. Just a little. Let's jump into the next plan. Chaos. I feel like I'm chaos incarnate. Okay, my next plan is the Cloudbow by Reed Keys, which is from Pom Pom Quarterly issue 40. It's the Dreamscape one that everyone and their goldfish has. I feel like I just saw it all over the place, just all over the place when it came out, and I mean, I hopped on the bandwagon. But I have wanted to make the Cloudbow and I have not made it, and I'm just very excited to make it. And I'm going to be using Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair in the color Dusty Sea Green, which is this bad boy. And this is a 70% mohair, 30% silk. It's 225 meters for 25 grams, and I have three little balls of yarn. I originally bought this yarn over a year ago because I wanted to make a vest using the mohair and the merino, and I still didn't understand gauge very well, and so I swatched for the vest and was like, it doesn't work. And so I ended up using the merino to make a camisole number 5, which I'm gonna be talking a little bit about in a future video because I'm not happy with it. But that's all the hint I'll give you for now. But I'm going to be using the mohair to make a Cloudbow. I think Cloudbow is beautiful, like absolutely gorgeous. And I want one, and it will just be stunning in this green. I love green, which you will see in 2 of the following plans. So I'm not a mood board person. I love looking at people's mood boards, but my brain is too chaotic and I have too many things happening and too many things I want to make and too many different colors I want to use to come up with cohesion. While I love cohesion and I love when things like look aesthetically pleasing and stunning and just, I just can't do it. Like, when you see all of the different colors that I've used, there's no cohesion. I mean, 3 of the things are green, and that's as much mesh aesthetically together things that there is. But back to the Cloudbow. I'm going to make the Cloudbow. I'm going to make the top version. I do, in the future, want to make the dress. I really do. I think the dress is stunning. I don't wear dresses, but I still want it in my life. So one day I will make the dress, especially if I like the construction of the top. I think I will. I've seen so many people talk about the construction of it, and I think it's just an interesting construction. And at the same time, I think it's going to be a super quick knit because it is mohair on, I don't know what size needles it is, but on relatively large needles because it is a sheer fabric. I mean, it's mohair at a loose gauge. So it'll go by quickly. And that is my third thing I want to make. Again, not in any particular order because the next thing we're going to talk about is actually a whip right now. So let's move on to these next couple of things, which are sweaters. Yay, we've made it to the sweater portion of the video. Because I don't know about you guys, but as a knitter, sweaters are my favorite thing to knit. Like, I like making tops, I like making other things, but sweaters are where it is at. Yeah, just sweaters. Yay, love them. Love sweaters. I could never have too many sweaters. I wear all of them. I live in Houston, and I still make a conscious effort to wear all of my sweaters. Because again, if I'm gonna die in the heat, I might as well die wearing a sweater. That's my new mantra, I think. Let's actually get into the sweaters now. So, the first sweater that I am going to be making that is a whip at this moment, I started it 2 days ago. I didn't get to knit on it yesterday because I worked, and I worked like all day. But I started it 2 days ago, and I've already finished the back panel, and that is the Harlow Sweater V-neck by Kadri. I've not made a Kadri pattern before, and so far I think it's really well written. Again, I've just finished the back panel, so I haven't done a ton, but it's still super well written because the way you start the sweater is different than any other sweater I've done, and it was easy to understand. I got it quickly, and I'm just so excited about it. So let's talk about the yarn before I show you where I'm at. So for this project, I am using some very special yarn that arrived 2 or 3 days ago. I did my swatch and cast on the same day. I did block my swatch, but I blocked it, and while it was still drying, I measured it because I was like, I gotta cast it on now. But it's this. It is Classic DK from Sorella in the color Reputation from the Taylor Swift Eras collection. So it is this beautiful greeny black color. It's like almost like a washed out black with green in it, and it's just stunning. I love green. I love black. And Reputation is my favorite album, so like it's just all of the things. All of them. I've been waiting for this yarn since she announced it, and I was like, I have to have that. And then I ordered it at the beginning of July when the pre-sale went out, and it's finally gotten here after like 8 weeks, which makes sense. It's hand-dyed yarn. It takes time. But I'm so happy it's here, and I'll show you the swatch. I don't know how all the color's gonna show up. I'm like trying to catch the light. But this is my lovely little swatch. It's nice and drapey. And I think I said this is Classic DK, so it is 100% superwash merino. It is 231 yards per 100 grams, and I got 6 skeins. Which is, I usually need between 5 and 6 for DK weight projects, typically. But let's look at where I'm at. So this is my first ball. My little cake that kind of looks like the mountain from the Grinch, just a little bit. Ooh, I don't want it to fall apart on me. Let's see. So I did just pick up stitches for the front left panel. And it has this incredible, if you've seen this sweater, it has this incredible I-cord detail where the shoulders, the front and the back panels meet at the top of the shoulders. And it was so fun. It was a really fun construction to do. It was like miles of I-cord, but I really enjoyed it. And I have the bottom just resting on some barber cord, but it is this beautiful, let's get that out of the way, beautiful, beautiful fabric. It's so soft. I really like this yarn, and the color just makes me really happy, and I think this is going to be a gorgeous sweater. I love a V-neck. I do. I love a V-neck. I didn't used to like V-necks. The V-neck thing is new, but I'm enjoying V-necks. And the thing about this one is it has the double folded V-neck edge. The ribbing is folded over on itself, and I'm just so excited for that. I think it looks beautiful. It looks so cozy and chunky and lovely, and I cannot wait. It's gonna be a pain in the ass to knit, I think, and then knit it down. But I don't care because I'm so pumped. So pumped. It is knit on 4.5mm needles using DK weight yarn, which is nice. A lot of DK stuff uses 4mm needles, and so the 4.5, it'll make it go a little bit faster because I just want this sweater in my life. And, you know, people talk about being a process versus a product knitter, and I really do think I'm both. But there's just something about finished objects that just, I love. Like, I love the process of knitting. Knitting brings me so much joy, but I also get so much joy from wearing the things that I've made. Which I think is, like, the best. Like, I get joy from making it. I get joy from wearing them. And, like, I think that's just one of the incredible things about making your own stuff. And it's just incredible. This is a, like, slightly sappy tangent, but I can't wait to finish this sweater. but I'm also gonna have a great time knitting it. Like, it just brings me so much joy. I love it. So that is the sweater I'm currently working on. So that's gonna be the first of the things I'm making off of this list. And I've got 2 more concrete plans, and then two things that I would like to make at some point that I don't have yarn for. So let's go to the next sweater. So the next sweater is actually going to be for my mom. So I bought her some yarn for Mother's Day and to make a White Mountains by Midori Hirose. So I feel like I don't see a lot of people talk about the White Mountains, but it is actually a lovely pattern. I have made it before. I made myself one in the spring, and I made it in a week because it's knit on like 7mm needles, I think, maybe 6.5. But it's made on huge needles, and it just flies by. And it is using a worsted weight yarn and a lace. Well, the one I knit it with a worsted and a lace weight, which is what I'm knitting it for my mom. So I am using 2 yarns. I'm using Barocco Ultra Alpaca in the color 6201, which I believe is just cream. No, Winter White. It's called Winter White. And then I'm using a special hand-dyed mohair, and that is from Red Door Fiber Studios. So Kate, who made these beautiful yarns. I got this yarn for my mom's sweater. When I got the yarn for this, I got cut off abruptly and very rudely. But I was saying, I got the yarn, this yarn that I'll talk about in a second, from the same pre-order that this yarn came from. So it was from the Princess Bride collection that Kate did in the spring. And I let my mom pick out the mohair she wanted, because what's really awesome about this sweater pattern, and the reason I chose to make it in the spring, was because for my size and my mom's size, it uses less than 100 grams of mohair. So it's a wonderful project for 2 if you have 100 grams of like special mohair. So last October, I took a trip to Europe, and I went to Barcelona, and one of the stores I went to in Barcelona was All You Knit Is Love. And I got 2 skeins of their mohair in the color Cherry Sundae. And I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but they only had 2 skeins. So I got the 2 that they had and was like, I'll figure something out. And then I came across the White Mountains pattern and saw that I could do it with less than 100 grams of mohair. So I was like, this is perfect. And so I made it, and my mom absolutely loved it. So I was like, cool. I'll keep an eye out on hand-dyed pre-orders that are happening. I'll let her pick out some yarn, and I'll make it for her. So the yarn that she picked out is from the Princess Bride collection, is called Shortage of Perfect Breasts. And it's this beautiful mohair. It is like, has different shades of blue and some like kind of more purpley gray, and it's just gorgeous. So I have 2 skeins of this, and I will be making a White Mountains for my mom, and I'll be making a size small for her because she is a petite lady. She's 5'2.5". I'm much taller than she is, and she's also just very tiny. So I'll make a small for her. I made a medium for myself. So the medium uses less than 100 grams. And that's the next sweater I'll probably be casting on. And I have one more sweater that I have yarn for that I'm really excited about, and that is the Lanark Sweater by Rebecca Clow of the Crea Bea. if you watch her knitting podcast or if you follow her on Instagram, you've probably seen her Lanark Sweater, which is a 3/4 zip, half fisherman's rib jumper. And I'm incredibly excited about it. For the Lanark Sweater, I talked about this yarn in the last podcast, but my parents went to Norway and they brought me home some yarn, and they got some Sandnesgarn double Sunday for me. And so I have, I think 15 or 16 balls of double Sunday in the color 8521, which is, like I mentioned, I think it's very close to Dusty Artichoke from Knitting for Olive, if you know that colorway. In my head, that's what it looks like. I could be completely wrong, like just remembering so incorrectly, because that happens. But I'm going to be using Double Sunday, which is a merino, a non-superwash merino wool. And I have never knit half fisherman's rib. I think it's also brioche. The right side is one thing and the wrong side is another thing, and so you can knit it either way. But I've never knit it. I've never knit anything like this. I have not done these stitch patterns. And so it's going to be a bit of a learning curve, but I did just finish my zipper sweater, so I know how to put a zipper in something. So that gives me a little bit of knowledge on how to make this sweater. I'm glad I know how to put a zipper in something, even though it was a pain in the ass. Oh my gosh. And I had a whole debacle I'll talk about in the podcast when I talk about the sweater. But the Lanark Sweater, I wanted to make it. It was both the Harlow Sweater V-neck and the Lanark were on my 2023 knitting plans video. And so I'm finally getting around to them. And I have yarn for them, and I'm very excited. And I cannot wait to, one, have another zipper sweater because I'm obsessed with the one that I have, and two, have the squishy, lovely fisherman rib texture garment in my life. So that's all of the concrete plans I have, the ones that I have yarn for, and I'm very excited to make all of these. There's only 6, so I think, and some of them go by really quickly. So I'm hoping I will be able to get them done and potentially get more done before the end of the year. And I really do want to do these next 2 patterns. So the first one is actually a pattern that I bought at the very beginning of my knitting journey. And I did not like the yarn I was using, so I never finished it. And that is the Love Top by Unlucky Knits. And the reason I hadn't picked this up again prior to now is because even though I owned it, it was not a size inclusive pattern, and I didn't want to knit it and promote it. And the designer has just released an update and has made it size inclusive, so it does go to a 5XL. It goes, I believe, to 150 something centimeter bust measurement, and so it's something that I feel comfortable making now, and I'm super excited about it. I believe it uses fingering weight yarn, or maybe DK. The pattern uses Filcolana Arwetta, or Arvetta, I believe. It's been a while since I've looked at it, but I believe that is what it uses, and it is a beautiful, and I say this hating twisted rib. It's a beautiful twisted rib top. It's gorgeous, and it is, you can make it, it's a long sleeve top, and you can either have, there's where you can have a strap at the back that connects the 2 sleeves at the top, or you can have it without the strap. And it is just beautiful, and it's something I started making, and I loved the pattern, and I really wanted it in my wardrobe. The yarn I was using, it was from Michaels. It was mostly acrylic, but it had a little bit of merino, but it was mostly acrylic. But it had merino in the name, so when I bought it, I didn't really pay attention to the fiber content. But that's neither here nor there. But that is a top I would love to make. I'd love to make it in a darker, moodier, neutral color, maybe like a brown. So I think it would be the perfect fall top. And the last pattern that I would like to make at some point is the Heirloom Quilt cardigan, which is a beautiful patchwork quilt cardigan where the pieces are sewn up together, and it's just stunning. If you haven't seen this, you should definitely check it out. It's gorgeous. And it uses, like, the colors used in the sample or the pictures on the pattern page are just stunning, and the ones I've seen on Instagram are beautiful too. And I think it would just be a gorgeous piece to have. And I'd really love to make it at some point. And if I don't get to make it this season, then in the future I definitely want to make it. So yeah, those are my knitting plans. That is what I have planned for the autumn, the season of autumn, season of fall, whatever you want to call it. Again, I can't believe it's already time for autumn. It is mind-boggling to me. And even though the weather doesn't agree with that statement, I choose to believe that it is. It's autumn now. It is. In my mind, in my heart, it is fall. And I couldn't wait to make this video. I've been like anxiously waiting, like, when can I make it? When can I make it? And so I hope you guys enjoyed. I would love to hear what you guys are planning on knitting for the season, and you can let me know in the comments. And I really hope you enjoyed. I hope this gave you some inspiration, potentially introduced you to some new patterns. Maybe, probably not, because I feel like most of these are pretty standard patterns in the knitting community. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, you can go ahead and subscribe. If you like this video, it would be incredible if you gave it a thumbs up, left a comment. And if you want to see what else I'm up to when I'm not posting on videos on YouTube, you can follow me on Instagram at popsicle_frog. And if you want to look at any of the projects I've done on Ravelry, you can check them out at popsicle-frog. So I really enjoyed making this. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!